no tomorrow.
All right, we are deaf and we are live.
Are we ever changing that music?
We're still waiting on you to come up with your masterpiece.
That's going to be the intro. You dressed as the Queen, sucking on a banana, and I'll just put the logo over the top of it on the crown. See, we're waiting on you, mate, and you keep letting us down.
Yeah, we're not going to have a new logo for a while.
No, we'll get told off if we change it now.
You're too far gone now. You have to keep it.
Oh, there's a saga behind our channel logo. It's a long, drawn-out process that went on and on and on.
You'll have to catch me up after the show because
we will.
I think it'll be more than the full hour from by the sounds of it.
Yeah, man. But we've got the one we've got now, and we ain't changing it again for foreseeable. But welcome anyone who is watching live and listening later on the podcasting providers to, I believe it's episode 8 of the XBL Party Podcast UK show. My name is Ash. I am joined by TheGinna and ReddersTV as always. And we are joined by special guest Harry from Gamers Watch. Thank you for joining us. And literally our other special guest has just jumped into our stream, so I'm going to add him in quickly. He's going to wonder what the hell's going on, but here we go.
It's because he wanted to make a grand entrance.
He did.
Sorry about that. I actually lost track of time. So,
yeah. No worries. Welcome, Cerebral Paul. How's it going, good sir?
Oh, pretty good. Give me a few minutes. I'll actually turn my camera on, and you can see my beautiful American face. Yeah.
I often lose myself in the 10-minute free views as well, Paul. Don't feel bad about it.
You know me, fashionably late. You know, us Americans are always like that. You know. Yeah.
Well, big shout out to the General C and Thimber who've already been messaging in chat. Nice to see you all here. Thank you for joining us. Before we jump into the topics, we'll quickly have a quick rundown of the sort of main games we've been playing this past week. What you've been playing then, Gina?
I've been very busy with work, as you guys know, so I haven't gamed as much as I like. Always busy in work, me. Ruining dreams. I've been playing Forza Horizon 5 again. So, yeah, that's about it. I played a little bit of Hollow Knight, and I've decided that I really like the game, but I need to get more time aside to play for it. And I've got Thursday and Friday I've booked off this week, and I've already told my wife I'm just playing Xbox pretty much. Apart from doing the school run, I'll help her out with the school run on those days, but other than that, I'm just sitting down and playing Xbox solid for 2 days. So.
And if she doesn't like it, she's getting the Zoom treatment.
What have you been playing then, Redders?
So what have I been playing? I completed Assassin's Creed Revelations finally on the Ezio collection after months of not doing anything with it. And I've been playing Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. Not liking it as much as Borderlands 3, but I'm still enjoying it. It's a good game, but I'm not liking it as much as Borderlands 3, but I'm okay with that. I think Borderlands just has a very special place in my heart, so I just enjoy that kind of comedy and slapstick humor. So, but no, it's a great game. It's worth checking out. But that's about it really for me. It's been a bit of a low game week.
A low game week.
Yeah.
Oh, the joys of it. What about you then, Harry? What you've been playing?
So I've been playing a few games. It's the beauty of Game Pass is that I just play all sorts of nonsense constantly. So I've had to get my app up because I've been playing so many games. So I've bounced off of Elden Ring now. I don't want to talk about Elden Ring. Is what it is. I ain't getting good at that game. So I bounced off Elden Ring. I've played possibly my least favorite game that I've ever played on Game Pass, which is called A Memoir Blue, which isn't a game. It calls itself an interactive poem. It's absolute guff, like properly stupid. There's one bit where I had to drag ice cubes in a cup and make them into fish.
You lost me at interactive.
Did you throw them out of the cup to get the achievements, though?
No,
Oh,
No,
you've
'cause
missed
I
out on an
care.
achievement there. You throw them out, and for some reason, that's an achievement. So
I care so little about ever touching that stupid game ever again. Then I played a little bit of Kraken Academy, which is really good fun. Anyone who's got Game Pass, pick that up. It's a lovely little sort of sprite-based RPG, very fun. I'm still playing Shredders. We got a review code for that off of Phone Punch, the guys that developed that game, and I'm about 25 hours into Shredders now. Completed it, got everything, all the achievements bar one now, which is going to take a while anyway. And I'm absolutely loving it. I've been playing Super Mega Baseball 3 because I love the Super Mega Baseball games, and I've also been playing Tiny Tina's Wonderland, and it's my favorite game that I played this year. I absolutely love it. So yeah, a little bit of an exhaustive list, but
that's the joys of Game Pass, though, isn't it? At the moment,
it's
just too much to play. I feel your pain there, mate. So bad.
everything apart from Tiny Tina has been a Game Pass. I wonder what that's like, and they're all great. So, well, apart from that, rubbish.
I played Memoir Blue this week, and I didn't mind it, but there isn't a lot to it. Like I said, I sent GinNa a message and said you'll probably like this sort of game.
It reminded me of
Thanks
Genesis
for
Noir.
saving me. Yeah.
I thought there was more to Genesis Noir than there was to Memoir Blue.
Well,
there was a lot less to do in Memoir Blue. You were literally like watching a cutscene and then pressing like 2 buttons and then watching a cutscene. But it was nice to chill. It's a good game if you don't want to play anything and you just want to just mong.
Well,
but
that's
there
what
isn't a lot to
Shredders
it.
is for me. Shredders is my just sit down and just have some fun with a snowboard for a little bit. That's my chill out game. It was the perfect sort of bounce off game from Elden Ring, because that game, I put my head through a wall. Basically, it was just like pure frustration, and so like Shredders was complete zen. But I'm absolutely loving Tiny Tina. Not quite as much as Paul, I don't think, because I've seen his play.
Are there other games besides Tiny Tina since Friday? I don't know.
Have you been playing anything else then, Paul, or is that it?
No, I actually did, because we have an Xbox. We had an Xbox Ambassadors Playdate on Sunday, so I did some Forza Horizon 5. But other than that, it's been Tiny Tina's. Over the first 72 hours, I did over 30 plus hours in Tiny Tina's. So there you go.
I'm just going to throw this out there, but Cerebral Paul can currently pass for Vesemir in The Witcher.
Yes.
Thank you very much for that. I think. I'm not sure.
I feel like I'm looking into my future, to be honest.
Hey, you better hope you look this good when you're my age. That's all I can say.
You're never going to have a luscious head of hair like that ever again in your life.
Yeah, GinNa, his hair's real, not like yours. So
GinNa, your hairline has receded so much that you no longer have a forehead; you have a 10 head.
I was born with a hairline, and it has gone from strength to strength. I tell you.
That's right. There's no Rogaine or plugs in this. This is all me, baby. I'll tell you.
On the Halo roundtable we did the other day, I actually had my hair down and not gelled, and you could see how luxurious and fluffy it is. So it is real, not a wig.
Don't lie. Don't lie.
You have to turn your camera off like midstream so you can adjust your toupee.
Yeah, to sort of straighten up a bit. That was it. We saw it. You made me cut it out. We've seen that.
Yeah, if the camera cuts out at any point, you know that it's just started to slip.
That's it, yeah. When it gets warm, it sweats and it just runs down.
You know, so it's like a chia pet. He waters it before every show. And is that what it is?
Yeah. He's going to end up looking like Rudy Giuliani, where he's just got all the stuff dripping down his face.
I use clear glue. I learned from him. I learned from his mistakes.
That's right.
Ginna's not Ginna. Thimber in chat's talking about Halo. We now have official Halo boots. Yeah, they look really good as well. I'll give them credit for that.
I would happily wear those boots. They are sexy as fuck.
You'd be surprised how many people have sent me them.
Pictures. Yeah, I bet you've already got them pre-ordered, mate.
They're too expensive to sit on my shelf.
Seeing those boots on my screen was far more entertaining than any other Halo-related stuff I've seen on my screen recently. Oh man! So I don't want to spoil anything about the show, but there's some moments in there where I was like, oof, like it really oofed me because it just you can tell that it's you can tell there's bits of it where they're like, right, we have to remind the audience it's a video game. What shall we do? Go first person. And like it's so obviously done by like a committee where there's like 100 people around the table and they're like, then what should Master Chief do? He should nod at the camera. Oh, okay. He should nod at the camera. Okay, so nod at the camera. Oh man, that was rough.
Well,
yeah.
Shameless plug, if you want to see our Halo TV show episode 1 review that me, Ginna and Redders did, it's now up on the YouTube channel. You can see which of us liked it, which of us didn't, what bits we enjoyed and what bits we thought were a bit naff.
I did watch another 10 minutes.
Which of you liked it, which of you to block and remove. Okay, got it. Yeah.
I'll tell you what though, the first 15 minutes was absolutely banging. I'll give it that. Those first, just before, like it got to the opening credits, and I can't believe they ruined the Halo theme, but they got to the opening credits and everything up to that point, I was like, yes, this is exactly what I've wanted. And then they butchered the Halo sound, the Halo theme tune, and then it sort of a little bit went downhill from there. And from the Angry Joe review that I watched today, episode 2 isn't apparently much better. So
apparently it's a filler. Already.
Yeah, fingers crossed. Already.
I slapped it back on, and I got to a point where I think she's looking at a clone, and then I was like, oh, can't be asked. And I went back to watching something.
That's Cortana. Yeah. Even I know that, and I don't really like Halo. So,
right. She is.
God, he really doesn't like anything, does he?
No, he don't like unless it's Smite.
Don't play into the hype of shit. Like a lot of people just go like they just like stuff just because it's popular, and I'm not one of those. If I like a game, I'll say I like a game. Or if I like
Speaking of things Redders doesn't like, I just remembered I played Fortnite no build mode Saturday night for a few hours, and it was actually fun. Because you take the building out of it and just shoot people.
And they've now announced it's permanent as well, haven't they? They've officially announced it's not temporary. It's now going to have its own mode permanently. So now I'm going to download it again.
So now that you all have blathered on, can I talk about the game I've been playing all week and my views on it? Jeez, let's go back 10 minutes here and say, okay, yes, I've been playing a lot of Tiny Tina's, and unlike so-and-so up there, who we won't mention names, I'm not let down by it. I'm having a whole lot of fun. So much so that I'm actually doing all the side quests. I'm making sure I'm trying to get all of it done. I do hate I don't know how far you are. There is a beanstalk area that is a pain in the butt to navigate to area to area.
I've just done some mushroom area.
Yeah.
I'm not hating it. I just I don't like it as much as I like Borderlands 3. But then I love Borderlands so much that that's not really a comparison.
So I am currently, I think, level 32, and I know at level 40 it opens up even more of the game. I don't know if that's the end game. That may actually be the end game at level 40. But yeah, I'm enjoying it a lot. I think anybody who enjoyed Borderlands, especially 1 and 2, and Tales from the Borderlands, which I also played last week on my Xbox Ambassador stream, and I will complete that on my personal channel. The humor is there. It's fun. It's a little bit different because basically you're playing a game within a game. You're playing Tiny Tina's version of Dungeons and Dragons. So it's interesting.
I do love the quests. Yeah. It's that proper like slapstick comedy that I really love from the Borderlands franchise. I mean, I love the I don't know if you've done it, but the Smurfs mission.
Yeah. There's a lot of pop culture references that are just a little twisted and a little skewed, including the Ditcher. There's a quest called the Ditcher. You can kind of guess what that's a skew on. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. I will probably have it complete by the end of this week or early next week. And I probably won't 1,000 point it, but I'll be darn close. And I have yet to do because of the issues they were having, I have yet to do any co-op play. So maybe we need to get together and do some of that. So
yeah, for sure. I keep getting annoyed because I keep leaving an area without collecting all those lucky dice. I always find
there's a crap load of those lucky dice, though.
Yes, there is.
I don't know if they're tied to an achievement or whatever, but
it is. It absolutely is. But some areas have 15 or 20. There's got to be close to. I think somebody said there's 200 dice in the game
Jesus.
to collect, and
I don't
that
know.
includes in it.
I don't know if that could be the ability to like see them on the map, so you can just go and find them, or if you have actually got to find them on your own without any kind of.
I don't think the map marks them. The map does mark the marbles when you find them.
Yeah.
If you look back in your map, you do see the marbles, but I don't think you see the dice. And as you know, in the overworld, there's some dice you can't get to until you progress through the game.
The overworld's weird, isn't it? That's the bit that threw me the most. The overworld, because it plays like Pokemon.
Well, and I had another friend say that, but he's got a D&D background. I said that's the same as having a big open world map on the table, and you're basically working your way through that.
Yeah,
I feel exactly the same with the overworld. I absolutely love it. I'm a D&D player myself. I listen to multiple D&D podcasts. I've played it almost since I was all my adult life and most of my childhood. I played D&D. It's why I watched Stranger Things for the first time, because I just saw this show where kids were playing D&D. And so the overworld for me is absolutely amazing. It's exactly what me and my friends would make. When we used to play Warhammer, when we used to play D&D, we made these makeshift maps and these makeshift overworlds and hub worlds. One of the reasons that I bounced off of Borderlands 2 and 3 was the actual size of the open world. It just didn't really do it for me. I thought Borderlands 1 did a really good job of making an expansive world that was still quite light. But I felt that in 2 and 3, they stretched themselves a bit too thin.
Yeah,
and so what I love about Tiny Tina is that you still get that joy of exploration because of the overworld.
Yeah.
But then the random encounters and the dungeons and stuff that you find are more sort of tightly knit hub areas that I feel are much more sort of Borderlands 1, which is my favorite Borderlands game. I think Tiny Tina is now my favorite Borderlands game, but I love that small arena sort of style that it's got.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing. I don't feel overwhelmed by the open world.
It's a gigantic world, but it really doesn't feel like it. It's a really big world. It doesn't feel like it. Yeah.
We'll have to get you in on our role-playing nights that we're meant to be doing streams for, Harry.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope so.
Yeah, we're going to be doing some like live stream ones, probably like this, but we've got the One Ring, the new second edition of the One Ring, and the newer Alien RPG, and then a load of other ones from Free League Publishing. So it'd be nice to have some people to join us.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm curious, have any of you ever heard of or played Rollmaster?
No.
Once, a long time ago, if it's the thing I'm thinking of.
I actually have a friend who's working on the newer editions. He's the one putting the books together and stuff, and that's who he works for. So, yeah.
I've just received a message from Duncan, who's on our podcast, calling me a slut and taking a picture of me on this podcast saying I'm cheating on him. So,
wow, I don't know what that makes me then, because I've been on everybody's podcast.
You've not been on ours yet. Well, I'll have to be on ours soon. So sorry
Paul
for
gets
cheating on you, Duncan.
Yeah.
But no, I'm
cheap.
I'm
cheap and easy. Yeah, that's what I've heard anyway.
Yeah. So I'm really glad, actually, Paul, that you're here, because I've been wanting to ask about the accessibility options within Tiny Tina. It misses a few things for me. Like, I've got really bad eyesight, so you can't scale text in game, which I think is mad.
Even me and my little monitor, I'm trying to play it on the stream, and I'm like, okay, it says, and I've got my glasses on, and I'm making the screen larger, going, okay, I got to hide the chat so I can see the screen bigger. I mean, yeah, that's an issue.
Yeah. But is everything else working okay for you? Because I've wanted to ask you.
Yeah. For me, the aim assist is pretty much spot on where I need it. I have a friend who tries to play and he can't aim he has trouble aiming. So it's a little bit, it doesn't actually lock on the target. It just kind of helps you get, if you're close, it'll hit type of thing. But, it doesn't feel like anything's there, which is what a lot of people want. But I wish there was some games have the ability to adjust how tightly it pulls you into the target, which is the one thing. The other thing, even though it has some descriptive captioning, I think for those that are truly blind or anything, there's no sounds to dictate where the shots are coming from. Visually, you can see it, if you know what you're looking for, but there's no audible cue to tell them that it's a little to your left, it's a little to your right. So I don't know. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I have the same problem as Harry because my vision's fucking horrendous, and I have to sit a meter away from a 50-inch TV just to see what's on.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
but I find it difficult to read the text and stuff. It's it's tricky.
It'd be nice if it was a little more adjustable. They've done a bit. There's also no, from what I can tell, there's no colorblind mode. You can adjust the color of friend and foe. But I don't know. Looking at some of those maps, there's a crap load of green on some of the overlays, and I don't know what that looks like to a colorblind person, especially when the mob is covered in green as well.
Definitely.
If they can make it out, because if you poison something, it gets covered in a green mist, which matches the background of a lot of the areas. Okay, Visually, it looks great if you have great eyesight, but if you don't, I don't know how well that plays out.
One of the biggest issues I have is when the spell effects start going off right in your face.
Oh yeah, man,
you can't see anything other than what's going off right here, and I find that quite often.
Oh yeah, even for me, some of the boss fights where there's a crap load of spell effects, I can't even tell where I am, and all of a sudden, fight for your life. What just happened?
Yeah.
I can't see any bad guys to shoot to fight for my life, but okay.
Well, obviously, we've had a little bit of a background, me and you, Paul, haven't we, with accessibility chat, especially on our video that we made.
Yeah.
so I wanted to bring that up. But no, I'm having some struggles, and I'm in no way, shape, or form am I suffering from any disabilities. So I just wanted to, hey, Duncan's about. Hello, Duncan. Just thought I'd ask
that's
the
not
question.
True. I've pointed out in other shows that I've asked people when they start talking about disability and things like, do you wear glasses? Then as a gamer, if you wear glasses for any reason, you are disabled. You fall into that category, even if it's been so normalized to see people wearing glasses like Redders and such that people don't look at it that way. Well, the glasses,
these don't actually do anything. These are literally just aesthetic.
Okay, so Redders is just trying to
he's a fake.
Yeah, I've got an advanced stage keratoconus in both my eyes, so I literally just wear these for aesthetic. Because I hate the way how I look without glasses on. So
just put a bag over your face.
Regardless, the point stands that people don't realize, because it's been normalized so much. People don't realize they fall in that category. So I think even if you don't now, what I try to make, because you guys, like you said, we ran into each other because of the video you guys posted, and everybody jumped on that's stupid. That's too, you're not a real gamer if you got to use.
It's not for you.
Screw you. Yeah. But the thing is, those same people 20, 30 years from now may have a lot of the same issues that I have now. 20, 30 years from now, I might be dead, but they may have slower reaction times or bad eyesight. And if they had it their way, they'd be like, I can't play this game. And, you almost want to look back and go, remember when you posted this in 2022? Well, up yours, because now that's you. And some of them will get their comeuppance and won't even realize it, because as soon as it starts to happen to them, then it's going to be okay. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we need that. And From Software needs to make it so we can still play these games that we used to be able to play. And I'm just going to be sitting there going, ha 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 ha, asshole.
Not as severe as you guys, but I, for one, am very thankful for hair triggers, because playing rugby, I've bent my finger and damaged my finger so many times that it hurts now. It's like I can't fully close it, whereas I can with that one. So I only have to move the trigger a little bit now. It clicks my finger, but it's so much better than having to go full track. So I know that's just going to get worse.
Yeah, there are some games that I have trouble with where I can't, especially my left hand. It's hard for me to go full pull. That's why I one of these years when I can afford it, I need to replace my the Elite Controller 2 that I had, because especially for shooting games, being able to set those triggers at partial pull to get a full pull reaction, awesome. Yeah, absolutely awesome.
There's
And
there's a hardware meant to be getting announced soon, isn't there? A lot of people are saying it's the Elite 3.
I hope so, because that'll drive down the price of the Elite 2. So
The only issue I've had with my Elite 2 is the the switch you flick on the back to change it from
yeah.
trigger lock to that was snapped off on mine, and I have no idea why. On
Oh,
both sides, so I can't, to change them, I have to really stick something in there and push it down just to get them to unlock and stuff.
well, you must have really been harsh on your triggers, man. Wow.
How small do controllers look in your hand? Do you look like the type of person who holds a pint glass and it looks like you've got a whiskey glass?
Yeah. Well, I got fucking massive Yeti fingers, so it's like that. It's like
I'm probably one of the fewest people that have big enough hands that when the original Xbox controller came out, the gigantic one, I went, yeah, that's finally a controller that fits my hands. And when they introduced the S size controller, the smaller one because Japanese people couldn't handle the bigger controller. Honestly, that's the reason they created the smaller controller. It felt small to me. It really did. It's like all of a sudden I felt like cramped again. Like PS controllers to me feel tiny. I feel like I'm all over my hands when I'm trying to use a PS controller.
yeah.
I always get cramp from PS controllers.
Yeah.
The biggest issue I have with the PS controllers is they always feel flimsy. Like the Xbox ones, I don't know why they just feel more robust, but like the PlayStation ones feel like I could break them quite easily.
Yep.
Actually,
and the biggest one now with the PlayStation ones, the thumbsticks are at the same level for both thumbs. It's hard for me to do that, especially now. Yeah. That little offset, it makes all the difference in the world.
I must admit, though, the new PS5 pad is the most comfortable PlayStation controller in forever. I still don't. The even thumbsticks are horrible, but the chunkiness of the PS5 pad is much appreciated compared to the hand cripplers that have come out on the PS3 and 4 and back. So
when I got my original PS4, I had it a day, and I put the controller on the floor, and I completely forgot the controller was there. Stood up, put my foot on it, and I snapped the fucking paddle off.
Ouch!
Oh my god, it was brutal. Yeah, absolutely brutal. But yeah, I can drop an Xbox controller and it'll still work just fine.
Not by me.
You've got a bit of fuzz. It's close enough.
Yeah,
enough.
I got the Santa fuzz started already.
Fabio had a shave. We got rid of him. That's what it was. Dead to us.
Oh, that's what's missing. Fabio's not here to keep us on track. That's what it is.
That's why. Yeah, that's why we're half an hour and we haven't really done anything yet. That's it.
So should we just talk about it? The thing that happened today. Should we just?
Let's do that. Let's do that because, like I say, you've already shit on the game.
That Sony thing. Yeah.
Yeah, the Game Pass killer, as people were calling it.
It's been a very big subscription-based week for news, though, hasn't it? Because not only did PlayStation announce their Game Pass killer, they also announced the Grand Theft Auto 5 Mega will rape your wallet subscription as well. So I mean, what a time to be alive. That's it.
I don't get the PlayStation one. I mean, I've looked at it, and I just think, why the fuck take something so simple, make it so much more complicated, and then add additional costs to it? I mean, they're still hiding cloud saves behind the paywall. They're still fucking making it so you can only stream the older titles, like the PS3.
No, only PS3, streamable now. PS1, 2, and PSP, I believe.
No Vita.
No Vita.
Nope.
Some are streamable and some will be downloadable, but they haven't said what yet.
But the PS3 are basically the reason that they have to stream the PS3 is the architecture behind that console was so abysmal that they physically don't know how to backwards manipulate these games to make them work on the new systems. Because historically the PS3 was just a horrendous platform to actually program for.
NVIDIA's architecture, wasn't it?
So, it was absolutely horrendous.
Well.
Yeah, and so Sony are basically admitting that their backwards compatibility doesn't work on that console purely because of the architecture behind it. And that's hilarious to me. But what I think is the funniest, and it's why I tweeted it out earlier, and it's got some traction, is for the last 4 years, Xbox gamers have been told that nobody wants to play old games. Why would you want to play? Jim Ryan even said that. Why would somebody want to play old games? And their big Game Pass killer isn't day-and-date games. Xbox have had more day-and-date PlayStation titles in the last 2 years than PlayStation have on their subscription services. You know, their big Game Pass killer is old games, hiding cloud saves, and charging people for demos. That's their Game Pass killer.
This is another thing that really bugs me about it is, Xbox I don't know if PlayStation get them, but Xbox gets free play days. Like you don't, do they get that on PlayStation now? Is that an option?
I don't think so.
No, you get free demos when you pay.
EA Access gives you 10-hour free trials to their new games when they come out.
I saw someone ask if you'll get discounts on purchases like you do with Game Pass, and someone confirmed that it's only for pre-orders, and only it's 10% for pre-orders.
All the games on Game Pass get discounted.
So you can't try the demo to see whether you like it and then get it for cheaper. You've got to commit to buying it first. Yep. So you can't actually try the demo to take advantage of your discount.
One is £3 more than Game Pass Ultimate, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. But what stood out to me was the way they were like, you get 400 PS4 and PS5 games, and then they were like, and then you get 300 plus retro games. It's like, I'm sure there was already like 600-700 games all in on PS Now, so they're not adding a lot more. The only thing they're probably going to be adding is the PSP stuff, which I'm interested in, depending on what games they are.
But why the fuck are they doing it in 3 tiers? They could just do that in 2 tiers like Xbox.
And it's also market locked.
Money.
It's market locked as well. Certain areas don't even have access to this. They've announced it for Europe, Japan, North America, but then they haven't said if all of the Asian market are going to get this, which it looks like it's not. And especially when Xbox Game Pass PC has just announced that it's going to be over, I think Singapore, Indonesia, Thailand, and Vietnam are now getting Game Pass PC.
Nice.
Yeah.
They're even locking. They're locking people.
That goes to what you've all been hearing me preach for the last 2 years on other shows I'm on. That's their focus. That's what Phil has been focused on. Getting over into that market, getting the cloud into that market. That's it.
Hardware costs a lot of money, and you look at the Brazilian market, the cost of a console in the South American markets is so much money they can't afford it. But they've all got smartphones, and they can stream directly through there because internet access is so cheap. And I think if you're looking at this, you get 10% off of a pre-order. If we look at Scam Turismo, I mean, the reviewers. Sorry, I watched a Jim Sterling video on it earlier. Gran Turismo. If you look at Gran Turismo, they didn't let reviewers know there was going to be microtransactions in it.
Yeah,
and they changed the XP and everything, didn't they?
Changed everything afterwards, and they didn't have the coin currencies in game. So even the reviews can't be trusted. So if you're going off of a review and you think, "Oh, this is a game I want to play," how do you know that you can even trust it? That it's going to be the correct game? I mean, when they then got cars that cost $60, $70, $80 for a single car. And I think Paul, who's our good friend from Thistle Do, said it perfectly, that Sony seem to be like the Apple of gaming. So they're in their own level, and they have their own closed architecture and their own closed markets, and they don't want anybody else to be involved in that. And so what that means is that they will money hack games so that other people can't get them, and they will preach about how they're the premier gaming service, and then they'll launch this service like they have today, and they'll open with a line that can only be described as propaganda. The first line is, "We're market leaders in game services," but they've been telling everyone for the last 4 years they don't want to get in game services. So where are they supposed to go with this?
At the moment, it feels like PlayStation is so out of touch with their fan base. It's unbelievable.
Plus, earlier this week they announced their big purchase, which was for a multiplayer live service game.
Well, Jim Ryan did an interview today when they were talking about this new subscription service. He said the actual big money aren't all live service games, their own subscription services, basically, and that's where we want to focus. So
Yeah.
They're not doing a Game Pass sort of in the same way because they want to do more live service games, basically.
My problem with Jim Ryan, or as I like to call him, Lion Jim Ryan, is he has changed his story so many times since the PlayStation 5 got announced that you just can't believe a word that comes out of his mouth anymore.
My question is, how much of it is Jim and how much of it is Sony corporate trying to play catch up? That's where, because all of a sudden live service is where it's at, whereas 2 years ago Sony was the solo player game, du jour. That's where you went if you wanted to play with yourself. I mean, play,
Thing like Sony are at this point where they do have such a massive fan base that they can do what they want, and people will eat that shit up like cupcakes, regardless of whether or not it's anti-consumer or not. And Xbox has always been shit on by the internet since they first got into the gaming scene.
And and for some of that time, deservedly so. But
yeah, like
did any of you see the tweet?
But not so much now. But not so much now.
Yes, I saw it.
But like anyone who hasn't, give me a sec. I'll put it on the screen for those watching who haven't. It's such a very well-timed sort of dig tweet.
Whilst you're putting that up, can I just quickly say for someone in chat, the Muppet is a sexy beast. There we go. That should keep him happy for a bit.
So this tweet they've posted up was literally only maybe an hour or two after they did that announcement, and it kind of literally is just digging the knife in. Look, it's like brand new games day one, blockbusters and indies, and it's like Xbox Game Studios, EA Play, Idea, Xbox, and more. And it's just very simple, isn't it? It's straight to the point.
Whoever's in control of the Xbox Twitter has been on fire for like the last 2 years. They've been fucking fantastic.
Yep.
Yeah. My only problem with Xbox at the moment is, yes, we're getting a lot of news from PlayStation, and I mean, admittedly, some of it isn't fantastic. Some of it has been a bit meh, but they're pumping out regular news. Last year, Xbox, every Monday we were getting something, whether it be small, medium, grand scale. There's not been a lot.
Well, not this time of year we weren't, because they were leading into E3. They got really quiet going into E3.
But this is Xbox's problem. They need to.
We got theory controllers on Monday. What do you want?
I don't think it's a problem.
The week before.
I don't think it's a problem either. I don't think they need to be out there every week saying,
You've got to remember that PlayStation games are only in the news now because they got delayed from last year. So there's like a big gap. Like PlayStation get their games like this time of year, Xbox get theirs at Christmas, because like for whatever reason, Sony just seem to be pushing out games in January and February.
Oh, I'm not saying it's bad. I just feel like they need to be. It's a very weird narrative when there's nothing.
There's no. Let's see, you're putting a narrative in there where there is none. There's no reason for that. Don't make announcement for making announcement's sakes. That's just silly.
Yeah.
That's just,
I'm not saying just generic.
We live
ones,
in a post
do like weekly updates about like the backwards.
But what if there's nothing to talk about? What if they're holding it all for the for the shows and for E3 and
shows? They do like one a year. Xbox. They don't know how to do more than one show.
No, E3 is going to be their big thing probably again. They're probably.
We hope.
You're probably going to get bitch slapped with Starfield. At E3.
We will.
So
that's why I agree with both of you. I think that Xbox haven't shown anywhere near enough stuff this year, and we have got a lot of Sony news. And I still don't think God of War will come out this year. I think it will be delayed.
I think it will.
But I think Jez Corden, I think it was, that said that wouldn't it be great if Microsoft did like a state of play once every 3 months, just to like, even if it was just to be like, here's one of our 31 studios, what they're currently working on. I know that because I speak to a lot of the guys at Xbox Era, and obviously they had Phil on the show recently, and he mentioned that State of Decay 3 is in a playable position. Show that. Show us State of Decay 3. Yeah. I want to see it. I want to see games.
But they tend to hold off till big events. Same with Bethesda. Bethesda will hold off showing you anything until they're ready to go.
Xbox
much like Sony need to adjust their services. I'd say much like Sony need to adjust their services model and their look on that. I think Xbox need to change their model on how to present video games, because it's not working at the moment. We know that Starfield is coming up this year. We know that Redfall is likely to be in the summer, but still we haven't seen anything from Redfall or Starfield other than a few in-game trailers. And personally, I think that Sony could learn from Microsoft in terms of their live service options, but Microsoft need to do better with showing off their games. I hate seeing trailers for Xbox games, and it feels like it's been written by someone in like 2013 with big, bold writing. It's like, just get a developer to talk to the camera and they did with Hellblade. Do that with the Coalition.
Yeah.
Or do
I guess to
Turn
me
10.
it's just not that big of a deal there, because we know these games are coming. I don't need to see more on Starfield. I know it's coming. I'm looking forward to the announcement.
It's not for us though. That's the benefit. That's my argument. It's the generic, bog standard people of the world who don't know if they want to
choose.
Right.
For me, I don't care that much.
But part of it is also people are still having trouble getting their hands on the consoles. So it's hard to push the sale of something that you can go buy this next week, but you don't have the equipment to play it on. So it's right now they're still doing that balancing act.
That's the beauty of the stream, though. Isn't it? Beauty of cloud streaming.
The fact that a lot of their games are currently in development crisis as well, and that's why we're seeing.
Well, see, that's the one thing that I wish they would speak on, because I don't think some of those quote development crises are as bad as the YouTubers and the bloggers are making them out.
Everyone's making that out to be a lot worse. Everyone's probably struggled because of COVID and other reasons. It would
be nice if they say, "Don't worry, things are under control. You'll get games soon," rather than just not looking at anything. But I think that the thing I like about Xbox is you don't really hear much. I mean, you get your Christmas games, and then you go like 4 or 5 months, and then you get that build up to E3, then boom, they just fucking hit you with everything all at once. And then you'll get it all for the rest of the year. I'm okay with that. I don't mind that approach to it. But
because usually that's what happens. The last 6 months usually turns into Xbox's playbox.
It would be nice if someone came forward and addressed these concerns that a lot of people are having with Fable and Perfect Dark.
I think part of it is it's a no-win situation for them, because no matter what they say, you're going to have guys out there that we all watch and follow that are going to be saying stupid shit in response. So,
Yeah. And also big shout out to Thimber, who did remind me that Xbox did announce they have launched a new cloud-based publishing platform. So they have announced something this week. I put my hands up. That came and went like a fart in the wind, and I'd forgotten about it. So they have announced, like, that's what I mean. It doesn't have to be, I don't need to know, like, I don't need brand new game trailers, announcements, this, that, and other. But like I say, they have done something this last week, and that is really interesting, the whole cloud publishing thing.
And I think part of that is because it's cloud publishing, it's not considered a big splash announcement. They are making announcements, but they're not, quote, newsworthy announcements. They're not big game announcements. They're not, we bought another publisher announcements, which you probably won't see until next year.
I quite like they announced that Idea Xbox has generated $2.6 billion for developers through the Idea Xbox program. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and all
we speak to a lot of indie developers, and Thomas Saller is someone that I speak to quite regularly. He's the creator of the Falconeer, and he's got Bulwark is his new game, which is based on Falconeer, but it's like an RTS game. And he's got nothing but good things to say about the Idea Xbox team, and especially Game Pass. But going back to the cloud gaming, do you remember about a year ago there were talks of Hideo Kojima signing up a cloud service game?
Here we go again.
I mean, I remember that being a big deal. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of Kojima's games, but maybe that ignited something that they realized they needed to go the cloud route, possibly. I don't think anything will come of the Kojima rumors, much like the FromSoft being bought by Sony last night. I think it's just one guy farting in the wind and everybody sniffing it. But I don't think it really is much of anything. But that cloud service that they announced, that's big. That's huge news to the majority of people that want to play Xbox but can't afford hardware. I know that, having spoken to a few people behind the scenes, and I can't name names, I know that Xbox are looking at TV apps. That's their next big thing. There will be a like Sky TV in the UK have just released their Sky TV. That there will be an Xbox integrated app within a TV. I don't think it's the thumb drive that people have been talking about, the USB stick, but there is definitely in the works right now a division of Xbox that are working on native television apps, and that cloud streaming lab that they've just opened is the perfect place for that to be created. Perfect place.
I'll tell you, like reading all this news about PlayStation and them trying to create a Game Pass rival, and like I tweeted about it today, but you just got to admire just how ahead of the curve Xbox was when it came to Xbox Game Pass. Because here it was, 2-3 years now of Game Pass, and there still hasn't been another company that can put out anything even remotely as much valuable as Xbox Game Pass. I mean,
no, but part of that comes back, and I've said it before on other again, I'm going to say on other I don't know how much you guys have watched me, but I've been saying this for years, that they've been this is something they've had the backbone for. They've been building up over the last 20 years. Now, 20 years ago, they may not have seen Xbox Game Pass what we see today, but because they had all that stuff laid up starting from the original live services and so forth in the Xbox Arcade, now they got to a point to go, hey, look, we can do this now. This is awesome. They aren't just ahead of the curve in the industry. They're the ones who've been putting the curve down on the road.
Yeah. I just don't think PlayStation is in a position financially to even come close to making something that's.
No, I think it's because they poo-pooed the whole. They've been poo-pooing the whole thing all along. Yeah. PlayStation didn't add chat till they absolutely had to. They didn't add party accessibility till they had to, because they didn't think anything was going to come of all of that.
But it just shows that when it comes to throwing money around for Game Pass, or whether it's buying massive. I mean, they're not even just buying one studio; they're making massive acquisitions. You just can't compete with Microsoft if you're going to get into a pissing war with money. It's just you're not going to win it. So
nope. And it may have been a little turned around if they would have played the game much earlier on.
Yeah.
10, 15 years ago, and said, you know what, we need to start looking into this stuff too. Yeah.
But there was a period, wasn't there, at the end of the Xbox One X's life, where Xbox kind of went quiet, and then suddenly Game Pass came out, and that was the changer. You know what I mean? Like it made sense why they were quiet for so long.
Harry said earlier about they're trying to position themselves now as this kind of premium brand, like they're the Apple of gaming. They know, whereas Apple does have the money to compete, it just chucks its prices up because it makes itself seem more, exclusive and more premium. And I think PlayStation's going the same route. It is slowly adapting. It is going into services they said they never would. It's not going day and date. But even in that interview, he says that could change in the future.
That needs to change. That's the thing. I think if PlayStation are going to compete, I mean, if they're going to start throwing around fucking quotes like, the Game Pass killer or Game Pass rival, they need to offer the same services. They can't. Because everything that makes Xbox Game Pass brilliant is the fact that you can play Xbox exclusives day one on the platform.
Anywhere as well.
Anywhere.
Not locked to a system.
Until PlayStation are willing to do that, they can't really come forward and say, oh, yeah, well, this is a Game Pass competitor, because it's just not. It doesn't even come remotely close.
No.
Well, to be fair, they've never actually said it's a Game Pass competitor. People online said it's a Game Pass competitor, and everyone, all the Twitter nerds ran with it. It's just because it's a subscription service. So in that aspect, it's a competing subscription service, but it isn't. It's not a Game Pass competitor in its own right as such. It's basically just PS Plus and PS Now combined with some sprinkles on top to sort of warrant doing it.
That people have made about it. Oh, budget Xbox and all this fucking shit. Like it's just a massive letdown.
Yeah, that's why I ignore 99% of the stuff that comes across my feed that talks about rumors and all that stuff and all those. Because it usually just fanboys talking. It's not even actually it's not even actually Sony saying anything or Microsoft saying anything. It's just the fanboys, trying to stir the shit.
One thing to note on Twitter is there are no PlayStation insiders. There never is. There's never one who gets it right or reveals stuff before it comes out. Like, we had that thing for weeks and weeks and weeks where they were going, there's going to be a show this week. There's going to be a show this week. There's going to be a show this week. And then the one week they didn't say it, they put a show on. You get like Xbox insiders who occasionally call stuff right. But when
But even then, if anybody starts their statement with, and I've seen this and I've responded to it with, I'm an insider, and I immediately block off the rest of their posts. As soon as they have the first thing they have to say, I'm an insider, and I'm like, no, you're not. No, you don't. Shut the hell up. Okay.
I mean, I know that obviously everyone knows that he's a laughingstock, but PS Vortex, he literally posted 24 hours ago, Sony have just bought FromSoft. Obviously, he took his time away from breaching confidentiality laws and disregarding the Hippocratic Oath, which was nice of him. Funny story about him is I DM'd him 3 days before he did that to tell him that he needs to cut out the fanboy shit, and he said that he would try his best. And then 3 days later, he's doing that.
If that was his best, we've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
The problem is, though, idiots follow them and give them the analytics. So if people ignored them and didn't respond, and it didn't spread like wildfire over the internet, they wouldn't keep doing it. It's just, you can literally go on Twitter. I could go on now and be like, "Oh, Kojima's making a new Silent Hill game with fucking From Software, and it's all going to be Sony exclusive, and it's going to be exclusive to their platform." And some idiot would think it's true and share it, and then it'll snowball and snowball, and it's just idiots everywhere.
That dumb cunt
Duncan in our show,
she literally posts anything. I mean, usually incoherent nonsense or just some fucking random fanboy gibberish, and she's got like 5,000 followers. Like, in what fucking world does that happen? Where
she's fucking selling her only fans now.
Oh, fuck it. She was meant to be doing it the other day,
yeah.
But Duncan talked about this in our show the other week, where, shout out to Duncan, you great mate. Duncan did this the other day on our show where we talked about it. If you look back at the history of these people who are now these clout-chasing fanboys, and you go back even a year and you look at their posts, they're just normal people. And then you see this point where one of their tweets gets noticed. You'll notice it was all of these people that chase this clout cycle, is that one person will respond to it, and then that one tweet they think, well, that's what people react to. And from there, it is just a snowball downhill. And our Elden Ring video is a perfect example of that, is that we got loads and loads of people searching. So you can see the analytics on YouTube, and they're 60% of the people that watched our Elden Ring video used in the YouTube search bar the phrase Elden Ring easy mode, right? And then they went onto our video to tell us that we were wrong. But that cycle of negativity is what got us all our views. And it's exactly the same on every single platform, is the cycle of negativity is what gets them seen. So these people, they don't believe what they're saying. Crap Gamer is one. Xbox University is another one. Nicola is another. Like, there's streams of these guys that just a year ago or 2 years ago were normal, well-adjusted people having good conversations that realized this tribalism gets them views. And not only does it get them tweets, it then, off the back of that, gets them subscribers, and it then gets them views. And then you look at the pages and how they morph. Like, we could very easily have done it. We got offered Crap Gamer to come on our show to have an argument with him basically for an hour, and we made the decision not to do it because we don't want to stoop to that level. Yeah. And you look at all of these clout chasers, and it's one tweet that does well, and then it just goes downhill. And I think we're seeing that today on Twitter with this Sony announcement, is all of these clout chasers have now got to go back on everything they've said over the last 3 years. And they've got no credibility.
But they won't go. But they won't go back. They'll just stay quiet and hope nobody remembers. You know, they never go back and correct what they say. They never go back.
Crap Gamer should have got Crap Gamer on, though. That would have been brilliant.
Because I mean, I remember when Forza Motorsport 7 came out, he did a video about it. Oh, greatest racing game ever made, or some shit like that for YouTube. Same.
That's what I called him out on. Yeah.
Same day or same week on Twitter, like claiming the game was trash. Like, which is it?
Yeah,
like that kind of flip flopping, you just lose all your credibility. Like all your credibility. You're literally pandering to an audience at that point.
And it sucks for me because I stream and I do shows because I have information I want to share, or I have an opinion, and I won't change who I am to get more views and, you know, to be the next big thing, because then it's not me, because then, you know, you're going to do what I want to do to some people if I ever see them at E3 and spit on me. It's bit and run, baby. No, I wouldn't do that. Hi, dog. Welcome home. So
Yeah, I can't stand those kind of clickbait artists.
part of it is because people tell me, well, you need to be more clickbait titles to get more attention. I'm like, that's not me. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Do I wish more people would watch my content? Absolutely, but I'm not gonna sell myself out to do it.
This is the thing. I mean, I don't hate either brand. I mean, I was a massive PlayStation gamer. I'm a massive Xbox gamer. I love games, but I'll call them out if they're doing something fucking stupid. And since Phil Spencer has taken the helm, it's been very hard to criticize Xbox on anything they've done. That's the problem. I mean, you go back to 2013 in my tweets. Fuck me, man. I was tearing Xbox to shreds over that whole Don Matrick fucking PR bomb nightmare. But that's the problem, that a lot of people, they lose that credibility when they start flip-flopping. Because if you're pandering to a crowd, then obviously your views are irrelevant and your opinions are irrelevant because you don't mean a fucking word you're saying. So, I mean, yeah, I find that kind of shit really frustrating to deal with.
See, we had that, but to our detriment.
It's have like a big thumbnail with a title saying "World Best said it couldn't be done," and then have a guy with a look on his face like he's seeing breasts for the first time in the corner. And that's how you get clicks, nice and easy. And it's just the same headline every time with one thing slightly changed. Maybe occasionally Mark Cerny looking creepy in the background.
We had that credibility issue a few months ago with us because I was very, very outspoken about Halo Infinite and my views on 343, and I made the mistake of using my the Gamers Watch account and not my own one. So we lost so many followers and so many subscribers who just thought we were this everything that Xbox does is great Twitter page, and we lost a load of people, and we got muted by a lot of people and blocked by a lot of people because I had the audacity of not agreeing with something that Xbox had done in terms of the free-to-play model that Halo have got, which I still don't agree with. And I think everything I said back in November is being actualized now. But then I called that out, and we got called Sony ponies. And I'm like, we do a weekly show about Xbox Game Pass. How are we being called ponies just because I don't like a decision that Xbox have made? It's madness. And this tribalism in these console wars has got to the point where there are now people on Twitter today advocating for this PlayStation Plus Premium Platinum Play Edition, who not even 3 months ago were saying Xbox has only got old games.
Yeah, it's silly, isn't it?
And they have to completely 180 their own opinions. But in isolation, what Sony have done today isn't bad. It's not a bad offer that they're giving people. The money, I don't think, is anywhere near what it should be. It's way too expensive for what it is. Mm-hmm. But then you've got, on the flip side of that, all of the fanboys that have spent the entire Xbox Series generation and all of the Game Pass generation saying that they don't want this. They don't want it. They want to pay $70 for games. They want to pay for PS Now and PS Plus separately. They want to support the developers, and they don't want to play old games. And they now have to just go back on all of that. That's what they have to do.
They won't.
They won't. They won't mention it. They won't say a word.
No.
It always makes me chuckle when these fucking zealots get caught in 4K, like sharing Xbox footage. These people that say they don't own an Xbox, but then they'll share clips to Twitter that say Xbox share. Like, okay,
yeah.
And there was is it Failed Pyro? I think that's what he's called.
Do we even have to talk? He's a troll.
And he was making a tweet saying that his Xbox controller wasn't working on Halo, but his Xbox controller wasn't even turned on.
Yeah, he's amazing, that guy.
Yeah.
Isn't he your mate, you know?
Failed Pirate? No, he's not my mate. I know who you're on about. I haven't spoken to him for a while. I might catch up with him soon.
But people just eat that shit up. That's the problem. They eat that shit up, and yet you get like good, honest, unbiased gamers. They just get completely overlooked. Like no one cares about them. If they're not choosing a side, they're not interesting. So
that's true.
It's a fucking shit show. It really is.
It's always the ones that are the most toxic, and they do all this shit, and they do start these console wars and fake rooms and stuff. That the ones that are like virtue signaling when they get there, and they're like, God, there's so much negativity and fanboyism from opposite side, and you're like, you're the person you're talking about in your own tweet.
Yeah.
What does it say about our society that honest guys like me who don't care about Sony or Xbox, and we'll talk the same about either, can't get 200 followers on their Twitter or their Twitch, whatever.
You fucking if you badmouth PlayStation, you get blacklisted, don't you? Like they just don't interact with you anymore. I had a mate in the town that I live in. He's got a little independent game shop, and he used to get a Sony rep going there. And when the PS4 came out, a Sony rep went in there with Knack, like a copy of Knack for him to play, and he criticised the controls of Knack, and they blacklisted him. They stopped going back in there, then giving him marketing material and everything. It was fucking ridiculous. But that's what they're like. If you talk bad about PlayStation,
Knack is complete. Shit.
And if you won't get a review copy if you badmouth the PlayStation game either. But I heard that's true for both, on a certain, depending on how you badmouth it. Even with Xbox, you can get in trouble with them. But
well, it's the same with anyone though. Like I have done particularly scathing reviews a few times. They never send you another one afterwards. If you say a game is shit, no matter who it is, big or small, very few of them will send you another copy of the game. A couple have, and I hold my hands up and say, good on you, that have sent me copies of games after I have literally said their last game was shit. But a lot of the time, that's it. As soon as you're negative, you get nothing, basically. So. But you've got, do you run the risk of kissing ass to get free copies, or do you have some dignity and say it how it is? So
this is it.
Sean, you're wrong. Knack is not a great game. Knack is cack.
You should be allowed to
review in fridges, to be honest.
You should be allowed to review however you want, whether it's good, whether it's bad. You should not be fucking blacklisted just because you don't like a product that they've put out. That's absolutely absurd.
I mean, one of my absolute heroes in games journalism media is James Stephanie Sterling, and she does pretty scathing reviews quite a lot of video games, and she's been blacklisted by almost everyone, but she carries on because she would rather have her sort of dignity and her sort of her moral standing in place than to sort of bend the knee to these multi-million billion-dollar corporations. And then when that does happen, you get things like Battlefield 2042 being given a 5 out of 5 by IGN, a 10 out of 10 by IGN, and you get lots and lots of bad games like Cyberpunk that wasn't even playable being given the most Game of the Year awards.
I'll tell you what, just to touch on Battlefield, it made me fucking laugh the other day when EA says, DICE have learned valuable lessons from Battlefield 2042. I'm like, what? So they didn't learn a fucking thing from the Battlefield 4 launch? That was fucking disastrous.
Well, they didn't learn anything from...
If you don't like it, and then nobody bought it.
Yeah. They didn't learn anything from their sense of pride and accomplishment, did they not?
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, they literally blamed everybody else as well, didn't they, for why the game failed, other than the fact that they pushed out a fucking broken multiplayer, no single player campaign for $70. And no, it was everyone else's fault why that game flopped. It wasn't
they are now adding legacy features like a leaderboard. So,
woo! Give him an extra $10 on top for that.
I love the fact that the next Battlefield's already in pre-production, yet this one is still a broken turd. Like, fix this one.
They're washing their hands of it. It's all. They're only be like, yeah, it's coming, and then next year they're just going to drop that thing like it's literally on fire with AIDS. They're going to drop it and be moving on. They're not going to give a shit.
It'd be an unpopular opinion, but give me a fucking Battlefield Hardline 2. That was amazing. Hardline was fantastic. No, it wasn't. It was fucking
Bad Company
brilliant.
3. Bad Company 3 is what we all want.
Hardline was awesome.
Does anyone remember that Battlefield? That was a World War II multiplayer only, and it was like £10, and it was all like on little islands and stuff.
Wasn't it 1942?
1942,
like that.
Yeah.
That was a right good game.
Yeah.
Didn't they give that away for pre-order in 2040, whatever it is, 240 million or what the new one was, and then they didn't actually give anyone a copy of it afterwards. They were just like, "Yeah, we're not getting that." So after telling them that's what you got.
I tell you what I hated most about 2042 was that I fucking consider Battlefield 2142 one of the best Battlefield games ever made. That game was incredible, and they've just gone and shit on that by making 2042 horrendous.
But going back to what Harry was saying about Cyberpunk, the reason that reviewed highly is because they only sent PC copies out for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that with a lot of things, and Xbox is guilty for this as well. They'll send out the PC versions over, not all the time, but I have seen on some of the places we get review codes from, a lot of them are Steam only. Like Halo, I could apply for Halo, but it was only Steam. Same with a lot of the exclusives. I mean, they may send them out to other people in the Xbox One, but a lot of these big publishers, they only send the PC versions out for reviews in advance, and there's a reason for that. It's managing the marketing and everything like that. It's a con, really. So
I think as well, something to remember is that with reviews, it's not even just that these people are given the game to play on a certain platform. Often they're actually given access to private servers and their own specialized machinery. So with Cyberpunk, for instance, they were all given really high-end PCs to play on, and the version of the game that they were playing on was an always online version that was connected to CDPR's servers that was drawing data in order to make it run more smoothly. So when you're reading the reviews, they're so skewed because nobody has access to that hardware. Nobody has access to CDPR's private servers in order to run this game natively. And so I've talked relentlessly about my aversion to CD Projekt Red and especially Cyberpunk, and it's still broken. I still can't play it to this day on my Series X. Even with the next gen version, there are still bugs everywhere. It is riddled with bugs.
I literally finished it, 1K'd it about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago.
I am still to this day having issues with it.
Favorite games ever made.
But then I don't know if it might be my Series X because I've had a few issues with a few games.
The only real issue that I had with it was, for whatever reason, it was after I finished the game. Like, you go through the downtown area and the frame rate really started to take a knock, and I didn't know what was causing it. And that only happened like after I finished the game.
But the actual game itself, I really like. I enjoyed what I played of it, but then there were still moments where NPCs just didn't spawn, or weapons weren't working properly, or really bad clipping. I was getting some really severe clipping.
The only issue I had was I unlocked a free car in the desert, the Rayburn, and then that prevented me from doing the buy mission for the same car because you can't have two versions of the same car. That was the only issue I had with it, like in the entire playthrough.
I know on your show the other day, the General C was saying something similar, wasn't he? He got quite lucky with his playthrough.
Yeah, he was really lucky with his.
Miss. Yeah.
He had no issues with it, whereas I've been having nothing but issues. But then because me and Duncan game share, he's got it on his Series S and he's had no issues whatsoever. So I don't know if it might be an issue with my Series X, because I did have some issues a few weeks ago where it wasn't loading up certain games. But it's just been horrendous for me. And then on the back of CDPR sending out review copies with rigs pre-built, they released an Xbox One X themed Cyberpunk console that they knew the game didn't even run on. Like, it just did not run on that console, and they sold that to people. And it's why in our last episode we talked about the fact that I don't trust this new Witcher game to be anything other than a broken mess, because they've spent 15 years learning the Red engine, and everything has to be scrapped that they know, and they're now going over to Unreal 5. So every single person in their dev team now has to learn a new engine in the middle of a pandemic.
I feel really bad for CD Projekt Red, because The Witcher 3, I mean, I don't care what anyone says, it's hands down probably the greatest game of last generation. It was fucking amazing. And then to come off that game and have to put out Cyberpunk where they knew the game wasn't ready, and then all the backlash they took from that fucking game has almost tainted their reputation on just the quality they can put out, because of how fucking phenomenal The Witcher 3 was. I feel bad for them, man. I feel like they got pushed into a really shit situation by
I
shareholders.
feel really bad for the devs. I don't feel bad for the upper management because they knew what they were doing, but I feel terribly and especially bad for the devs because Poland isn't a big gaming scene. So really, the only place that you can really develop video games in Poland is Bloober Team, who made the Medium, and then you've got indie titles, and then you've got CDPR. And I know that the culture at CDPR is not great, and so these people, they spent so much time and energy on this game that they knew was broken. And yeah, I mean, I didn't really like The Witcher 3 that much. It didn't really catch me that much.
Amazing.
But great get, like arguably, like you say, one of the greatest games of the last generation. It just wasn't my bag. And then to go off of that, and then to have Blood and Wine, which is, people argue that it's the best DLC for a game of all time.
Gorgeous.
I would still say that it's Ballad of Gay Tony because I love that. you then go from that to just this mess of a game. Like it is.
Yeah,
it's just like an oil spill on screen. It's
really dirty. But yeah, I think they'll be all right with the new Witcher. I think they'll recover.
I hope so. I really hope they are because I love the world of the Witcher.
If they go and do the same thing as what they did with Cyberpunk and just let the fucking shareholders dictate whether the game is going out or not, I think they could be in trouble. But I think they'll learn from that because that was fucking horrific. That game needed at least another year development.
You're all thinking this is going to be a full-fledged Witcher game. They specifically say no such thing. It's going to be a kart racer. It's going to be a Smash clone. It's going to be a card game. It's going to be a loot box microtransaction sort of hybrid, sort of like
service.
Yeah, games as a service kart racing game, but with horses. And they'd not lied to you. They just said it's in the Witcher series. So
Shinzo has a good point here. Witcher 3 was just as bad on release. People have short memories. Speaking of games broken on release, because I see this a lot recently, and someone pointed it out as well, which made me think. There's a lot of people saying like, "Oh, I'm going to go play on about the Halo thing. I'm going to go play Halo MCC, a game that actually works, a game that was broken for 2 years, where you couldn't play co-op, and they didn't even acknowledge there was an issue. And then there's everyone saying, I'm going to play Counter-Strike Go, another game that launched broken for many years and had to be patched. Halo 5 is another one that people mentioned. It's basically a lot of games are launching fucking broken.
I'll tell you what.
After a year or two, they're fixed, and everyone's like, this game's a masterpiece. And then a year or two again after that, they forget it was ever broken, and it was the best game. And when another game then launches broken, it's like, you're not as good as this game. It's like, that game launched broken too.
Tell you what, everyone's like clanging on about Starfield and how amazing Starfield's going to be. Just look at the history. Fucking Fallout New Vegas 2, broken as fuck on launch. Skyrim, broken as fuck on launch. Oblivion, broken as fuck on launch. If you're going into
76,
Starfield, if you're going
that wasn't broken. That was just empty.
If you're going into Starfield, that game,
now to be fair, I consider things like Fallout 76 and ESO separate entities because they're not single player experiences, which is why I trust Bethesda. Yeah, they may
different team.
Yeah, they may need a little work on launch, but I don't expect it to go smoothly. I never expect a game launch to go smoothly.
All I want is have they fixed ladders, because they've never put ladders in a Bethesda game, and they literally said we can't do it. So how the hell are you going to go up and down in your spaceship? Because they're always climbing ladders in spaceships. I see it in like close future. You're going up like that.
Remember, this is a new engine too.
Fingers crossed. They've hired someone specifically for Ladderman. Do you know what I mean? Or Ladder Woman.
Go look at their LinkedIn. The credits, the ladder wrangler.
Look at their LinkedIn. Ladder programmer. Okay,
that's it. Yeah, chief ladder programmer for Bethesda.
To go back to what you said, Ginna, about MCC. Sean, who is probably still in the comments, he can relay this as well. He was playing through the MCC to get back into the story ready for Halo Infinite. And when he got to Halo 2 on MCC co-op, like couch co-op, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Halo 2 in MCC couch co-op does not work. Like, it fundamentally is broken to the point where he just had to skip playing Halo 2, which is my favorite Halo. he had to just completely skip it and go on to number 3 because checkpoints just didn't save and missions didn't load. And that is how many years after launch?
So he skipped it because he couldn't do co-op, or because I mean the single player.
He was playing co-op with his partner, so they were both playing the Halo games to go through. Don't say that, Sean, because you told me on the podcast that Halo 2 was broken.
It also skips the first mission on Halo 2 if you play a co-op.
I bet the co-op on MCC works a lot better than it does on Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm going to message him because I'm sure he fucking told me.
No, he's now put that it's broken to hell.
Oh, okay.
To be fair, though, Halo 2's co-op is shit anyway, and I've still not got through it online with Fabio because it's the only Halo game where in co-op, if one of you dies, that's it. It goes back. And we're doing just legendary only run, so we'll spend a long time going through like one level at a time. And
Jackal
Fabio
snipers?
I'm holding him up. Jackal snipers, fucking hell. It's with Fabio as well. It's just like I'm getting bad back and stuff holding him up. But the MCC has been broke for years. But like I say, if anyone asks me, like Fabio's like, "Do you want to play Halo?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'll play MCC. I won't play Infinite because I actually want to play more than 3 maps. I actually want to enjoy it. I want to play co-op, and I'm sick of all these games, not just Halo, but a lot of these big games now releasing half baked, no features, nothing. So
people still pay for them, so they can do that. That's
the problem. It's these guys. If you're the one, if you went out and paid £10 for GTA5 recently, you're one of them. If you buy Battlefield, even though all of the previews showed how shit it was, you're the reason. It's on you.
Stevie Wonder could have fucking seen the.
Now, I want to say, and I've said this on Stubbs' show and others, that the fact that co-op didn't work and whatever is, that's if their other choice was to hold off releasing the entire game until they got co-op working, we'd still be waiting. And there are parts of co-op that people don't understand when it comes into programming an open world co-op system, especially with a new engine, which Halo Infinite is. That I think that's why they're running into problems. So I'm glad they released a single player campaign. And we know that the co-op is coming, but it's better than
it's not coming. It's all a lie.
Shut up.
They keep saying it's coming. It's
okay. Let me say they're working on it, and unless they can get it to come and work correctly, then it may not show up. But it's not going to be because they didn't want to or because they meant to deceive us.
I've spoken to someone recently who has worked with 343 through part of the game, and the main reason that the co-op just isn't there right now is based on the open world nature. That they can't get the checkpointing system to work.
But they chose to do that.
Doesn't work. But they chose that. Yeah. No one else asked for it. No one asked for Halo to be free to play, and no one asked for it to be open world.
That may not be. That may not be a problem that they foresaw when they switched engines and did all that. A company can have all these ideas written down and say, we want to add this, we want to add this, we want to add this, have every intention of doing so, but especially when you're switching engines, all of a sudden you realize that it's not going to be as feasible. Same reason Forge is probably delayed is because you're dealing with, because if they open Forge before it's ready, players will break the game left, right, and sideways. By adding.
Oh, I understand Forge, but because Forge didn't even get released. Was it with Halo 5 or 4 at launch?
Yeah,
it wasn't.
Most of the times they've had Forge, it's always been a later release because they need
the co-op. To me, co-op is Halo. Halo is co-op. The fact that they chose to do it open world and try something that no one really wanted because they wanted to make it a live service game. And it's not worked with the staples of the franchise.
You can't say no one really wanted it either. That's
no one who was a big fan of Halo when I want it in open world.
Looking back now and going, look at the problems we're having. Well, we didn't ask for this. You know what?
I never wanted the Halo.
But if it worked, you'd be praising it. If it worked, you'd be saying it was the most awesome thing ever. That's what I'm saying.
That fucking game was nowhere near ready to come out. They had to put out something because it was the 20th year anniversary. So that
was development hell, that game.
Yeah. So they pushed out the multiplayer just to hold people over, just to save a bit of egg on their face. Then they released the campaign. What, like, is it 2 months later, a month later?
Yeah.
Two or
That
months
game
later.
wasn't ready. It wasn't ready for release. It's that simple. It should have had another fucking 6 months, but they had to get out because it was the 20th year anniversary.
I think
Well,
the
actually, by the
campaign
time
was
they
really
released
good.
it, it
As a
was by the
single
time
player.
they released it, it was a year late because remember it was supposed to release with
Yeah.
with.
I think the campaign as a
console.
single player experience was really good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I
The
enjoyed the
multiplayer
single
as
player
this live
experience.
service model they've gone for. They didn't think it through. Is the plans? They've put it out and they're like, "Oh, we'll do stuff in season 2, but we're going to delay season 2." And there's been a drought. So they introduced that new mode where you could revive people, and people loved it. And they're like, "Yeah, that ties in with this one event we're doing this week. As soon as that's gone, we're pulling that mode, and we're not going to bring
Attrition, was it?
We're going to bring back the samurais."
Yeah.
But then everyone had finished it by the end of the second time it came around, and they were planned 6 weeks of it. And then they put in another mode, and then so they like put in modes in, and then 117 days after launch, 117, I tweeted them saying, "Are you doing anything special today or anything to celebrate your number?" Nothing. And then they had a TV show launch based on their game. They did nothing in the game. If you're a live service, these are the things that you celebrate and you put special events in for, and you even if it's just like a free badge or an armor or a certain game mode based around, you celebrate those events. That's the thing, you bring people in. They just seem to be set on, in May we're going to fix it all and you're going to love it. But that's like 7 months after launch, and they're like,
I honestly think they're busting their hump to try to get the co-op working, and so they don't really have time to do this other stuff. I would not want to.
Then they should just drop co-op. I would happily just say no co-op. Co-op isn't working, and we want to focus on making the multiplayer. And I would like, fine, you've owned up to it, but it's like cock teasing it for ages, and nothing's working. They should focus on multiplayer and get that working now, because the campaign's fine. It just needs co-op. But if it doesn't work, don't do it. Give us a co-op mode later.
You know, I would hate to be one of the programmers on that team right now, because they are probably stressed the fuck out because they see the shit on Twitter. Their higher ups get it, and their higher ups are probably breathing in their neck. How come this isn't working yet? What problems are you still having? You know, I would not want to be in that room. Serious. You know, that's high tension. You know.
One thing they can hold their head up high about is they made a good campaign, and they made the best feeling Halo game. As someone who didn't like the sprint and the advanced movement, somehow they brought that and classic Halo together and perfected it. So in terms of movement and feeling to play, they made the best Halo game they've ever made. The problem was that everything around it, they just kind of dropped the ball on, unfortunately.
Yeah, I'm not a Halo fan, but I like the multiplayer bugs and all, and I played through the entire single player. And that's me, and I'm not a Halo fan. I've always been more of a Gears fan.
Yeah, I play it all the time. I've got like 3 or 4 days playtime in this still, even though I slate it for not having it.
By the way, I'm going to be rude and be noshing on my Mackie D's on camera, so because I'm hungry.
I honestly think it was a red flag when they released the multiplayer and then let the team go on holiday for a month. I think if that doesn't fucking tell you that those guys went through hell and they needed a break, like I think.
No, I think they released that because they knew no matter when they released it, they were going to have server issues. Like any massively multiplayer game does.
Mackey's now.
That's why they released it early as a beta, because they knew they were going to have issues in it. As long as they said it was a beta, it would give them time to fix those issues. So as far as the server functionality goes, I'm not talking about the other functionalities that we're still seeing. I'm talking about server load and server and putting players where they need to be, because that has been cleaned up quite a bit.
My issue I have is when they said that it was a beta, is that I don't know many betas that have fully functioning coin stores that allow microtransactions. I don't know many betas that will allow players to buy XP boosts and to just fully buy an entire, like you could just go through and just buy every level of the season pass. It's very clear for me and very obvious that 343 valued monetization of this game over the actual content in game, and so they designed a multiplayer game around that fear of missing out, around weekly challenges, daily challenges, about just pure and utter retention of players at the detriment of actually having a solid game to play. I uninstalled it just after the campaign. I got halfway through the campaign and just got tired of the game. and I've not had any urge to go back to it since. And the main reason is because every time that I go in that game and I see someone with all this cosmetic stuff, I just know that they've spent £100 on some stupid cat ears and a samurai sword and armor cores that don't cross over. And then you look at what you have to do in the game in order to, like, I was in a game of Oddball, and I was the only one that even held the oddball for the entire match, because every other dumbass in the game was stood by weapon spawns waiting to do their daily challenges. And when they did it, they bounced out straight away. And so 343, by design, this isn't by accident, they've designed this game to work in a way that means that the gameplay has suffered at the expense of everyone else's wallets. So why would you... It's the same with every live service game. Why would you spend 3 days grinding when you could just pay a quick subscription fee, or you could quickly do an XP boost, or you can quickly buy one of these levels? And they say, well, the microtransactions are there so that people don't have to grind. But who invented the grind? The developers. They put the grind in the game and then sell you the solution, and then we all act as if it's this amazing, oh, they're for the gamers. I think what 343 have done with Halo is an embarrassment. I think that they need to be taken off of Halo indefinitely. I think the gameplay is fine. It plays like a good Halo game, but the content is abysmal. We're, nearly 6 months post-launch, and there's nothing to talk about. There are no additional modes. All that we've got are cat ears and banana tags and bloody Monster energy drink tie-ins. Like, that's all we've got. And honestly, I think it's one of the worst games of last year, Halo Infinite, from a complete standpoint. It's a broken mess. The multiplayer is just this mobile... It's just a mobile game with a Halo skin slapped on top of it, and it's all there just to feed their wallets. Like, that's the core concept of what 343 have made.
But they won't be taken off if people have been spending the money. They're not going to be taken off.
No, they won't be taken off of it. They should have been taken off of it after Halo 5. They should have been taken off of it after Master Chief Collection. They should have been taken off of it after Halo 4. They should have been taken off of it after Halo Wars 2. Like, they haven't made a good, like, rounded Halo game. I had this disagreement with someone the other day when I said that it is a fact to state that Bungie made the best Halo games and 343 have made the worst. Halo Spartan Assault is the worst Halo game, and Halo 3 and Halo 2 are the best Halo games. And it goes to a very quick clip that someone's posted. It's something I go back to quite a lot, where it shows the original developers talking about Master Chief, where they say he is an emotionless husk. He is a green suit of armor, and he is just there so that the player can play a story. And then it cuts to 343 saying, well, Master Chief's a human and he's got emotions, and, you know, he's just sick of being a bad guy. And it's just, they just don't get it. They just don't get it. And also, Sean, I'm not donating £1,500 to charity. Shut up.
Now, hang on a second, though. But see, part of the reason I never got into Halo was because he was an emotionless husk. There was nothing to draw me into the story. It's one of the reasons
that was by
one
design.
of the reasons I like Gear. Okay, that was by their design, but who says that even by now they wouldn't have changed that? Because, you know, they definitely wouldn't be doing a TV show on an emotionless husk, you know, because there's no drive there, you know.
Again, that's my issue with the TV show, is that it didn't need to be made. It could have. It's a perfectly good sci-fi show on its own merit. It didn't need to be included with Halo. The purpose of Master Chief was to be a killing machine that just the story happens around him, and he's there as a conduit. And it's why I thought it was so great that there were games like Gears where you had that emotional story that you could tie into, to then bounce into a game that Halo is basically just walk forward and shoot stuff. The story happens around you.
I guess if that's what you want, to walk forward
and
shoot stuff, that's cool, but that's not what I want in a game. You know, that's...
Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. And I get that a lot of people really, really like Infinite, and I totally understand that. But I think the core concept behind what 343 have done with it, it's just rotten to the core. Co-op and Halo go hand in hand. And Halo multiplayer, Halo 3 especially, was a game that I grew up on. It's a pale imitation of what Bungie made in the past. I'm hopeful that Season 2 changes things, though, because they've put some stuff out that I think might address some concerns. But again, will it be much of the same? I don't know. They had such a slam dunk opportunity with Call of Duty just shitting the bed with Vanguard and Battlefield 2042 being this utter broken mess. Like, it was there for them to take. They literally had it there in the bag to slam dunk it and show, like, this is the premier game that everybody needs to play. And where are we now? More people are playing Vanguard. More people are playing Fortnite because they don't have building in it.
Well, I was going
Like,
to say,
that's
yeah,
where we're
more
at.
people aren't playing Vanguard. I don't even think Vanguard is still playable. You know, I never see anybody on my friends list playing Vanguard ever.
They're all playing bloody Elden Ring.
Yeah, Elden Ring or like you said, Fortnite, because you don't have to build walls anymore. So everybody's,
Yeah.
you know, they've turned Fortnite into Halo, basically.
Yeah,
run and gun,
they have.
run and gun.
Well, unfortunately, guys, that's all we got time for.
Yeah, we did an hour and a half tonight. It's a longer show.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah. I've
So,
just realised what time it is.
Cerebral Paul, let us know where we can find you, dude.
Well, let's see. You can find me all over the place. You can find me on Twitter at CerebralPaul1, Twitch and YouTube at CerebralPaul. On Sundays, at least till the end of April, you can find me on Noof Nukem's Good Morning Xbox. Sadly, that show will be going away at the end of the month.
Yeah.
On Tuesdays, you can find me at Retro Renegades, which I'll be jumping to in about an hour and a half now after this.
They don't call him Mr. Podcast for nothing.
Yeah. On Wednesdays, you can find me in Midweeks Gaming on the Stubbscast with Stubbs Gaming over there in the chat. On Thursdays, you can find me at 4GQ TV. On Mondays, on the Xbox Ambassadors channel, you can find me gaming differently with Cerebral Paul. Please go over to the Twitch channel of Xbox Ambassadors. I actually picked a time that it's like 6 p.m. for you guys. I did that for the reason of you UK guys, because you always feel underrepresented by the Xbox, community, the ambassadors. So I thought, hey, let me put it at a time where they can actually watch it after work. So show up, say hi. No, I'm kidding.
Harry, where can we find you, buddy? Let us know.
So we are on youtube.com/gamerswatch, and my own personal Twitter account is at HarryGoLocky. You'll find me because I'm the person that's being shouted at by loads of PlayStation fanboys right now. And you can find our Twitter page for the podcast is at Gamerswatch Crew. And then we've got Sean as well, who is at Sean the Sheriff. And that's all of us, because Duncan's come off Twitter because it's an absolute...
Hey, Harry, if you reach the point to where they're calling you a troll like I have, you've made it, okay? You're doing
We're there.
Yeah, thank
you for having me on. It's been great.
Yeah, it's been great having you on. It's been a great show.
Thank you very much, guys. Yeah, so thank you to everyone in the chat. Thimber, Stubbs, Muppet, Sean. I'm trying to think who else is there. There was Duncan. Who was the other guys?
General C was there for a bit.
Yeah, Shizno, Elite, Muppet, all you guys. Thank you for tuning in. As always, your chat makes the shows even more enjoyable, especially when I put them up on screen and throw people off mid-sentence. Always makes me chuckle. Big thank you to everyone who's listening after it's live. So if you're watching this on YouTube or you're listening to it on a podcast provider like Spotify, etc., big thank you to you guys, because like I say, we do notice a good chunk of our viewers come after the fact. And like I say, check out our website, www.xblpartypodcast.com, for sort of daily gaming news and reviews. And if you want to support the channel, you can check out our Patreon. It is running along the bottom of the screen right now, patreon.com.xbl Party Podcast, and should I say /XBL Party Podcast. It's £1 a month. You get exclusive Patreon videos a month early, and we're going to be updating that soon with loads of cool new stuff designed around what the patrons want. So keep an eye out on that. Like I said, we've just done one that was the Shredders Game Pass game. We did a roundtable review, and we'll be working on one for next month very soon. But other than that, thank you guys for joining. Obviously, thank you to ReddersTV as always, and obviously our special guests Harry and Cerebral Paul. Thank you very much for joining.
Apologies for blabbing on about Halo for so long. I've been banned from talking about it on our podcast.
It is nice to get it out.
It's my fault. I always mention Halo. I can't help myself.
Have a great night, guys.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next week.